Hello everyone, and welcome or welcome back to Gander Gardening with Dawn. Today is February the 16th, and I am doing a short update of how some of the seedlings that I've started already in 2026 are doing. So if that's something that you might be interested in, please stay around. First of all, I would like to ask everybody how your winter is going. Here in central Newfoundland, our winter has been of the old-fashioned variety, and not in a good way. We have gotten so much snow. We've had wind, we've had sleet, everything that you can imagine, and lots of it. And I cannot wait until spring, but unfortunately, here in my Zone 5A Gander Garden, spring won't be arriving for quite a while yet. And in fact, later I'm going to show you some of my setup in my garage, my cool growing, I guess, setup we could call it. And I'll share with you what it looks like outside. But today I'm going to update everybody on how some of the seeds that I've already started in 2026 are doing. And as usual, some are doing great, some are doing okay, and a couple not so good. So let's get into it. These first seeds were planted on January the 3rd. First of all, I planted 10 seeds of purple bellvine, and 7 have germinated and are growing quite well. Here you see one of those. This is one of the larger ones, and some of them are a little bit smaller, but they're all within about the same range. And so that's 6 weeks of growth. And as you can tell, they're still not all that large. But in any case, I'm very happy, 70% germination, purple bellvine, because these can be tricky to germinate, and they can definitely be a little tricky to get going. The next plant that I started on January the 3rd was Dalmatian peach foxgloves. And I always start these early because they can be slow to start, slow to germinate, slow to get growing. I planted 24 seeds and 23 have germinated. And here are what most of them look like. I have 18 that look really fabulous like this. They're quite large and they're growing really well. So I've moved them into my cooler growing setup to slow down the growth a little bit, let the roots develop. And thankfully, this is one of the plants that I can plant outside 6 to 8 weeks before our expected last frost. So these can actually go out in the garden around the last week of April here. Now, that's what most of them, 18, look like, but 5 of them are still pretty small like this. They were planted on the same day. Everything, they've had the same circumstances since the beginning. And as each one germinated, I potted them into a little 2x2 like this one. And when they outgrew this, I potted them into the 4-inch size. But so some of them look like this, even though these seeds were planted on the same day. Same batch of seeds, same pack. Started on January the 11th is one of my less than great experiences so far this year with seeds. I gathered a whole bunch of my own seed from Silver Falls dichondra last year. And I had so many seed, but I've never tried to grow them from my own seed before. Usually I have excellent germination from seeds that I buy. But I thought I would try this, and I planted dozens. I don't know exactly how many. I didn't count, I don't think. But I only had 6 germinate. This is one of those, and the 6 that germinated all look pretty much exactly like this one. They're all in a very similar stage. So these were planted on January the 11th. That's 5 weeks ago. And yeah, they're not, they're doing okay. These 6, they're doing great. And I want them to be, easily to fill out, say, a 5-inch diameter pot and be spilling out over before I put them outside, because I don't want to wait for half the summer to get that hanging effect. That's why I start them so early. But yeah, did not have great germination from them. Little disappointed in that. Started on January the 15th because I had no idea that petunia seeds would germinate as quickly and grow as quickly. These seeds are a Tidal Wave red velour petunia, and I bought a pack of 10 pelleted seeds. They came from Vessi Seeds, and I planted them on January the 15th. So that is 1 month yesterday, and just look, 1 month of growth. I mean, to say I'm flabbergasted would not sum it up. I've never grown petunia from seed before. This is my very first time, and I was expecting their growth to be more along the lines of these type of plants, which have been planted longer than this one. And I don't know why. I think I read in most places start them 8 to 10 weeks before your first expected frost, but I generally start a little earlier because, just like with the Silver Falls dichondra, I want to get my plants a little bit larger, a little bit fuller, more like what you would get if you bought them at a nursery. But this is crazy. So even though petunias are not recommended to grow on in a cooler environment, I have these in my cooler setup now in the garage under lights, but where the temperature is only about coldest about 10. It goes up to about 12. And as it gets a little closer to spring, it will warm up to about 15 degrees or so during the day and still go down to close to 10 at night. Those are all Celsius temperatures, of course. But that's so that hopefully I can slow these down. Plus, I'm planning to cut them back. Planted on January the 17th, exactly 2 weeks after the Dalmatian peach foxgloves, I planted Camelot white foxgloves. So these were planted on January the 17th, so it will be a month tomorrow. And these are doing fantastic. And in fact, if you compare them to these, they're bigger than the smallest of the Dalmatian peach. But of course, they're not nearly as big as the largest of the Dalmatian peach. But this is excellent growth. And I started them 2 weeks later because I've noticed in previous years that when these get started, they grow really quickly. And here's an interesting point. You can see that the leaves of the Camelot white are lighter than the leaves of the Dalmatian peach. Some people believe that if you grow a mixed seed, say of foxgloves, if you save the ones with the lightest leaves, especially the veins on the back of the leaf, you may find that you will get a higher percentage of white or very light colors if that's what you're looking for. Obviously, if you're looking for darker colors, you would save the ones with darker leaves. So that's just a little hint there, but very pleased with these. And I started 10 seeds of these, 9 germinated, and they're growing fantastic. That's 90% germination. And also, these guys all look pretty much exactly the same. They're all they all germinated, I think, on the same day. On January the 21st, I planted 10 seeds of PowWow wildberry echinacea. I grew some from seed last year. I started fewer seeds last year. If I remember correctly, I started 5 seeds and 2 germinated, which was a 40% germination rate. Well, I guess it shouldn't be a surprise. I started 10 seeds and 4 germinated. So that's still a 40% germination rate, and that was on January the 21st, so I'm pretty happy. These next seeds were all planted within a day or two of February the 1st. And all of these were planted, like I said, I had a couple of days of starting a lot of seeds, and I can't remember exactly which ones were started on which day, but they're all very, very close. And some of these I'm very, very pleased with, even though you will see that there's not a whole lot of growth here yet. But I started 3 different types of snapdragon seeds. I started Madame Butterfly Bronze, which is the first time that I've grown those, Chantilly Light Salmon, which I grew for the first time last year, and Chantilly Velvet, which is a red that I've grown for many, many years. And they all look pretty much the same. This is the light salmon, and this is the Chantilly Velvet, which is red. And just like with the foxgloves, you can see that the darker the flower will be, the darker the leaves are. And so I knew what to expect from those two. The Madame Butterfly Bronze is somewhere in between the color of the other two, but all of them are germinated. I think I didn't count how many because the seeds were so tiny, but I saved 38 snapdragons. That's more than enough for what I need and enough for me to give away a few. But also around the same time, which of course is 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago, I started some lobelia seeds. I started 2 types, an upright type, which is lobelia Royal Palace mix, and a trailing type, which is sky blue. And they all look pretty much exactly the same. And there's not much that you can see. Let me just show you. There we go. You may be able to see the tiny little green specks. Now these were pelleted seed, and in each pellet there are I think 5 to 7 seeds in each pellet. So when they germinate as little groups. And I planted 11 lobelia Royal Palace mix. All 11 germinated. In fact, it was a pack of 10 seeds and there was 1 extra. So I'm doing really well there because all 11 germinated. And I had 7 pelleted seeds that were actually left over from last year of a trailing sky blue. And I only had 7 seeds. I planted 7, and even though they were pelleted and from last year, all 7 germinated, and they all look exactly the same pretty much. Next, started around the same time, are these Coleus Pinto mix. And again, I did not count the seeds. I just sprinkled them on the top of this little container, but I did try to evenly put them on the top, and I'm pretty happy with the germination. So these are about 2 weeks old, and I'm just now starting to see different colors among these little tiny plants, and I'm going to wait until these get 1 set of true leaves before I plant them in individual pots. And the last one that I started around February the 1st was Southern Charm Verbascum. And it may be difficult for you to see. I had 6 seeds. I planted all 6, and I think all 6 have germinated, but you can see in the front here, perhaps you can see that one or that one. There are 3 slightly larger here and 3 very tiny right here. But it looks to me like all 6 have germinated. So that's pretty great. So if you're curious about what my growing setup looks like, I took some footage from upstairs in my painting studio where I have my warm setup, and I took a little footage of out in the garage where I have my very cool setup for growing on seedlings. And I have, in both cases, I have some grow lights. They're just the little tabletop type of grow lights that you get. I have different brand names, mix and match kind of thing, and I find they all work pretty much the same. So if you'd like to see that, stick around and I'll show you what that looks like.
So here I am in my garage, and you can see outside the window here how much snow and how wintry it really is. And just look at those icicles. Oh my goodness. Can't wait for spring. But underneath this window are some of my plants growing here under some tabletop grow lights. Here we have a lot of the snapdragons. And here are the tidal wave red velour petunias, and they are looking incredible. And it's between about 10 and 13 degrees, or 50 to 60 in Fahrenheit here in the garage. And these foxgloves, they don't mind one little bit. These are the Dalmatian peach, and it's useful to put things in here that I want to slow down a little bit. And this is up in my studio where it's about 20 degrees Celsius or 70 Fahrenheit. And here are some more of the snapdragons, and these will be moving down soon. And also right here are some of the lobelia. And once they get a lot bigger than this, I'll put them down in the garage because I moved them from the studio to garage and then outdoors. And here are the Camelot white foxgloves that are also looking pretty good, and they'll be taking the same journey. And behind these foxgloves and next to the lobelia, I have a grouping of the seedlings from the Pinto mix coleus. And I showed you these downstairs, and these are doing great. And when they get a bit bigger and they have one set of true leaves, I'll be putting them in individual pots. And these I'll probably keep upstairs because they don't like the cold. And next to the Pinto mix, we have the lobelia again, and also the Southern Charm verbascum. Here are some of the echinacea. These are the PowWow wildberry that are looking good. And finally, we have the purple bellvine, and lastly, the Dichondra silver falls. And some of these will go downstairs once they've gotten big enough, but some of the plants that like the warmth, I'll keep them upstairs in my studio.
So thank you so very much for checking this out today. I'm so glad that you did. I hope wherever you are enjoying some seed starting or just dreaming about what you may see in your garden or in a friend's garden or in public gardens as the spring comes along. I find that this is the time of year that I start really longing for those warm, sunny days and for some beautiful, bright flowers from my garden. So take care, everyone. Thanks for checking this out, and have a very wonderful day.